the reasons we're here today is for Senator Ritchie's bill, which is 5172, which is basically titled The Unlawful Tampering of Farm Animals. Problem with the bill, it has one specific section that would prohibit the videotaping, video audio recording of animals within any particular farm without the owner's permission. And that would, in effect, stop all the undercover work that PETA, Humane Society of the United States, and all other animal rights groups have done. And as Dan, just basically, sort of outlined, the work that their group has done working with federal authorities. While I can understand part of the logic behind the bill, clearly this section is designed to stop the independent undercover reporting of animal abuse. And during the committee, I was only one of two members who voted against it. In fact, I was the only committee member who raised this with the chair, Senator Ritchie. And I basically said to her, please take this section out of the bill. I'm hopeful that she will, but I think that this is the purpose of the press conference here today, is to raise the level of awareness that if this section is not changed, this bill must be defeated at the Senate level. There is no assembly sponsor yet. So from our perspective, that's a good sign. But as Dan will show you some of the videos that his organization has taken, this is extremely important because government can't be every place at once when it comes to these type of farms and the farm owners who abuse the animals and violate the best farming practices. So we're here today to say this section of the bill has to be taken out. The bill should not move ahead. And I'm hopefully working with my Democratic colleagues in the Senate to make sure that they're all aware of the fact that this bill must die in committee. And by the way, the other senator who voted against in committee was Shirley Huntley. Dan?
Thanks. I think in my meetings with some of the sponsors of these bills in other parts of the country, in Iowa and Minnesota, they often were unaware of how closely PETA works with law enforcement, with local authorities as well as with federal authorities to get these cases sorted out and to get these places improved. The deputy on the case that I'm about to show you, which is from a Hormel farm in Iowa, was a pig farmer himself, and he called this a wake-up call to the pork industry. And I think in the wake of that law happening in California, the ag communities in other parts of the country thought, oh, that's us next, because we've had PETA with cameras here in our states. And so they're trying to, instead of trying to fix the problem, they're sticking their head in the sand and trying to make it unlawful for such cases to be able to be even documented, which is a thing that thwarts law enforcement, and it's a thing that prevents the public from making an educated choice as a consumer about whether or not they really want to eat this sort of thing.
Any questions?
So have there been any of these investigations in New York on their farms with the videos that have resulted in this?
Yes, there was a major case, it was a number of years ago on Commonwealth Farms in Hudson Valley. It was a place that force-fed geese for foie gras. It was a case that I worked on personally up here and testified here at the state capitol about. They found that the way they treated the animals went beyond the standards and norms of how livestock animals should be treated. These were ducks and geese who had a pipe rammed down their throat and were filled full of food 5 times a day, to such an extent that some of the animals' organs fused together. They could not stand up, they couldn't walk, and the footage from the farm was such a sensation that it eventually led to the state of California banning the production of foie gras, and it led to a lot of consumers being aware of how it was made. It did not result in convictions. That was one of our early cases, but it did result in opening a lot of people's eyes.
Is that farm still operating?
Yes, it's changed names a few times, but I do believe it is still operating.
And just as a side note, I actually have the legislation here in the Senate to ban the force feeding of geese for the production of foie gras.
I think people are generally good-hearted. They just assume that because there's something like a Humane Slaughter Act, well, the animals must be just as happy as can be. We find that case after case, farm after farm, it's just not the way it is.
Would you like to see more investigations in New York?
I think every slaughterhouse should have cameras in it. The investigators for the USDA are in so few places. There is so poor oversight. There's zero oversight in many places that PETA believes, and I believe Senator Avella as well, would love to see more cameras. That way the laws would be more easily enforced. and the owners of these outfits would take these laws much more seriously.